Well, greetings and salutations to all the listeners and supporters for both Christian Weight Success and Christian World News and Extreme Christian Radio. We have a very special guest on the phone, actually on the computer and on the phone. I'm talking through the computer, and it's so weird how voice over IP works these days. It's not like the old days where somebody calls in through a radio station and expects to get in, over the cell phone. Now they use voice over IP. And later on this afternoon on YouTube.com, we will be talking about voice over IP. What's the difference between that and just a regular cell phone? Or, of course, Verizon. Anyways, ChristianWeightSuccess.net. I love that website. My guest, Mr. Christian Evans, used to weigh over 400 pounds in 2013. He lost near 200 pounds within 10 months without the use of diet pills or surgery. His transformation is very much a very successful story of weight loss. Please allow me to welcome Mr. Christian Evans of ChristianWeightSuccess.net. Welcome with Live with Mike, Mr. Evans.
Hey, how you doing, Mike? Thank you for having me.
I'm doing great. Man, you have an awesome story. We'll start from the past just to get that out of the way because we don't want to give glory to the past because it could open doors that we don't really want to reopen or just open up. You came from a background like, I hate to say this, like myself, a sweet tooth. I'm a Southern boy. People love their meat and taters, cornbread, eating in style. But now the more healthy way of eating is what you've decided to take a route of turning your back on the healthy eating. Now, can you tell us what's up with that?
Well, start off with, I just had to change my attitude about the way I was thinking about myself and how I envisioned myself and where I wanted to be. And, I've always wanted to be better, and I've always wanted to better myself and just live a healthier life. I just didn't know how. And just kind of what, fueled all of it was I lost 3 important people in my life within a 4-year span. First, it was my mother in 2008 to complications from breast cancer. Then my cousin, who was like an older brother to me, in 2011. And then my grandmother in 2012. Just during that 4-year time span was just a blur. I don't know how that time just passed me by and everything that I was doing in between time and just trying to just cope with all of that, all at once. And just like I said, time was a blur. But I know that after my grandmother passed, I became very secluded. I just became very kind of private and just to myself. It was just a lot to process. Just 4 years of chaos. I knew going into 2013, I had to make a chance. I didn't start that change until about July 2013, but pretty much prior to that, maybe around April or May, I started just doing a lot of research and education on food and diets and different things that could possibly help me. I found a system, and it started working, and I stuck to it. And after about 2 months, I had dropped my first 80 pounds, which I was just ecstatic about. And like the saying goes, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So 8 months later, I just stuck with it for about 8 months, off and on. I would kind of go under is what I would say, just, vigorous diet and vigorous exercise. And maybe for about 2 or 3 weeks at a time, and then for about a week, I would kind of ease up and then kind of just go back at it. So I did that system for about 8 more months, and in in May 2014, I got on the scale and I reached my goal weight of 215 pounds. which was a total of 187 pounds lost. And I was very happy about that. I felt renewed. I felt that I stuck to a goal that I had in my head because I was so used to not finishing things. And one thing my mother always taught me was finish what you start. Don't start anything if you can't finish it. So I had been doing that a lot with diets prior to that, but I said, I'm going to stick to it, regardless of the last 5 pounds, which is always hardest to lose on any diet that you're on. And I just stuck to it. And, I was happy, which I'm still happy, right now. But to answer that question, those are the things that triggered me to actually finally, get my lifestyle and my health under control.
Man, and the toxins, just, isn't this not a normal New Year's resolution? You just stuck with the program. Like me, I know this is not on the script. This is just ad-lib. Like myself, I always make up a New Year's resolution that I know I can't keep. Here's a question that isn't on the script. For those that makes the New Year's resolutions and like yourself and, those that want to lose weight and get back to the normal things of life and going to the gym and stuff, what is your advice to give those people that want to make a New Year's resolution on weight loss?
Get started before New Year's is my best advice. Sometimes we can give ourselves too many dates, and that puts us in a box to do something because it's on this certain date. Naturally, we're how can I say it? We're kind of hard-headed by nature. So anything that has to do with a law of doing something, we automatically say we're not going to do it. As a little kid, there's don't touch that. That's because that's hot. Do we touch it? Yes. Don't go outside when when I'm not home. Do we do it? Yes, because we're just naturally rebellious. So with that being said, I tried not to just say, well, hey, I'm going to stick to a New Year's resolution. If it's December 31st and then July and then January 1st, it's like, hey, I changed my life. I've always tried to do things before New Year's. But that's why it took me so long to start my lifestyle change, my diet. And then, like I said, it took me until about 6-7 months later because I was doing a lot of research prior to that. And just with that being said, I'm glad the Lord kept me through that time because during that time I was still kind of eating crazy, but I became more cautious and conscious about what I was doing. So my best advice to those people is just start. If you have that thought that's in your head and it sets in your head, just go ahead and just start doing it. You do a lot of research and education and don't get bogged down by too much of the quote-unquote science or the, dietitian talks of, it can get almost too much, and, we're talking about macros and calories and, amino acids and a lot of scientific terms that a lot of people, even myself, aren't clear on. It's just most people want to know, what can I do to better myself and will it work? And yes, you do have to, take your safety precautions. I get that. But I think as a society as a whole, we've gotten too much to a point to where we're trusting too many people just because they have a lab coat on or, on a commercial and say, hey, I'm a doctor, and say, hey, I recommend this. Just what to stop eating. What to, not overindulge in. And, yes, sometimes we still do. But, at the end of the day, nothing beats a great diet and reduction of a lot of bad food and great exercise. So just like the Nike slogan, just do it. That's all you have to do. Just do it.
Hey, this is an old school saying. We're going back old school, and I can tell you're old school. You got that in you. This is an old school saying. Back in the day, I used to live down in Texas, and it's all about common sense. That's the 2 words, is common sense. That's old school saying.
Exactly.
All right, 2 brothers talking talking positive things on how to lose weight here. Did you start working out as soon as you pushed yourself out of the condition which you were in?
Well, the thing is that I've always worked out. I've always worked out maybe since I was probably about 18. And I take that back, maybe probably about 21 because I went off to college. And I came back and, I was trying to, keep myself busy. But, I was always, active somewhat, even, during my teenage years. But, when I got out of school and had to realize, hey, I need to have a life, I need to take care of myself because we don't have PE anymore, in real life. It's, you have to make your own gym class. I realized that, I had to get my diet right. And so with that being said, I've always worked out, but I just never had my diet right. And so just with that being said, it wasn't like, as soon as I change my diet, I'm going to start working out. I've always worked out, just didn't have the diet right. And so once I got my diet intact, then everything I started doing in the gym made sense. I started seeing better results. My body started becoming better, and I actually became a lot stronger mentally as well as physically and spiritually.
No, I'm going to do this. I used to work out back in the day when I was in high school, and ever since then, like, I graduated in 98, used to do track, used to be in military marching band, but we still had to stay in shape. But when it comes to the lunch line and school, we literally all know that our sweet tooth has, a toll on us. But when it comes to exercising after school or during PE, sometimes I'm there being lazy, but I know that I should be working out, so I go ahead and get my rear end up.
Right.
And do my thing, It's not all about
right.
Yeah, you gotta release all that bad stuff that the school fixes you. Some of it is good. I'm not going to say all of it is bad because now it's all good because, the categories which the school has to stay in to keep their, the grants going.
Right.
But I used to eat these items called Crispitos.
Right.
With extra cheese.
Mm-hmm.
And fries with cheese on top, including the chili. That has a lot of carbs. That has a lot of fats. I mean, I had to seriously work it off, and track. I had more sweat coming off my rear end than, a hyena coming out of the gym.
Right. Right.
My mom finally told me, be like, son, if you want to stay in shape, you got to start eating healthy. Be like, Mama, truth be told, the school don't serve spinach, they don't serve greens, they don't serve the nutritious stuff. We need to start a petition around town giving the school an idea because now, I have these problems with my legs. I have nerve damage from both my legs caused by a heart catheterization procedure.
Right.
And that could happen. There's a risk of every surgery or every procedure. So now I learned from the hard way because I never had a heart problem, never ever. But it doesn't mean later down on the road, something might happen to a point where you have to get checked out.
Right.
You, Mr. Evans, you had a severe case of sleep apnea where you had to sleep with a sorry for mispronouncing this word, CPAP machine.
Right, you got it right.
Okay. On top of things, you had high blood pressure medication. How did you feel about this? How far did it push you to get or to go more into this massive diet?
Well, once again, kind of reiterating the being hard-headed mentality is even having the sleep app machine never was the sole reason why I wanted to change my diet. Even with the medicine, I was like, I was taking the medicine and I'm sleeping with it. sleeping with the machine, and I was just like, well, I really thought that was just the way of life at that time. I didn't like it because it just made me feel, weak and self-conscious. But it never correlated with me just being overweight in my head. I was just like, well, I can keep doing what I'm doing, and, I'll be fine. And just with that being said, we can all just, again, can be hard-headed. And, even when it takes something like that, because how I found out about I had sleep apnea, I had a really bad headache. It was maybe around this time, maybe about probably about 7, no, I can't say 7, maybe probably about 10 years ago. You might as well go ahead and say that, because I was about 24, 23, somewhere around that time. And I just had a very bad headache, and I thought it was because of my eyes, because I do wear glasses, and I hadn't been wearing them. And it was just a really bad headache, and I ended up going to the prompt care, and they saying, well, hey, you're on the verge of having a stroke. I never knew the definition of what a stroke was. And when I went to the hospital, I hurried up, and they admitted me. And so everything was just like a blow to my ego. I'm like, okay, what's this? And they're saying, hey, you have high blood pressure. At the time, they call it edema or pitting, which I could put my thumb into the shins of my legs, and it will leave an imprint. And they were saying, well, your legs are swollen, and a whole bunch of things that I didn't know what was going on. At the time, I'm 23. I'm thinking I'm Superman. I'm immune to anything. I can do whatever I want. So that was just a major blow to my ego. And what they said was, you have to sleep with this machine because you have so much weight on your chest that it's closing off your oxygen to your brain when you sleep, because there was just so much pressure on my chest and then really on my neck, and my breathing was totally off. So sleep apnea is when you sleep, your trachea closes from breathing, so it stops you from getting oxygen. And with that being said, your brain doesn't fully rest. So when you wake up, you're sluggish and you're groggy. And with that being said, what do we all do when we are sleepy? We try to eat to gain energy so we can wake up. So just a combination of that and actually not knowing why I was feeling like that, I was constantly eating. And all this was, happened, before all the passions were going on. And so I was like, why am I so sleepy, all the time? I just felt like, hey, that was just me. I was working a lot of hours. I was working 12 to 13-hour shifts, being a manager, let alone at a pizza place. So just having access to all that food right then and there, I'm like, okay, I'm sleepy. Let me, nibble on this, nibble on that, eat on this, eat on that. And I never knew that was the cause. I never knew I wasn't breathing in my sleep. So that's what caused me to snore, and what the snoring was causing me to not breathe in my sleep and not get enough oxygen to my brain. And it wasn't until I had to go to the hospital and be diagnosed with high blood pressure at the age of, 23, that I finally realized, I'm like, okay, that's what's going on. And even after then, that was still a blow to my ego. And I said, well, hey, that still doesn't mean nothing as long as I can get some sleep and, I'm not dead. So, like I said, even with that being said, out of all that still didn't motivate me to lose weight. And I think after, my grandmother passed, it was just a culmination of all of that I had to realize. I'm like, okay, I may be next. And that's not something that I wanted. And that right there, motivated me to finally get my act together. So it took a lot. It took a lot of, me just being hard-headed and to realize that I actually had a problem. And I started educating myself on what to do and what not to do, and to do it the right way, and actually execute it and stick with it. And so just with that being said, all of that, just motivated me right there.
And I used to work in food service, and we talked before about this. I used to be a chef, and, when you work in food service, like you said, it's hard to stay away from foods. And
right.
And in a management position, you get the food for free half the time. Mm-hmm. But you got to taste the food before it goes out anyways.
Right. Quality control.
Yeah. It's all about, it's all about that. but it's very hard. I used to work in Jack in the Box also, and that was, oh God, that was hard. But the food costs were pretty high, so I had to quit eating all the food.
Right.
It's all the
Right.
It's all the secret flats in the
easy access.
Yeah.
Easy access.
Yeah, it was bad. That's why I don't work in food service now, but I'm trying to get back in it because, once you work in a restaurant, being a chef is for life, but being a Christian is for life too. So I have to make this big sacrifice. Do I want to really get back working behind scenes in the kitchen, or do I want to work somewhere away from food? And it's a challenge. I mean, I want to start working out, but my doctor actually told me right now the way your legs are might not be a good idea to start exercising your legs. Be like, well, you're just a lab rat, so I don't trust doctors. Really, nobody trusts doctors. They're nothing but people that want more money.
Right.
You are not required to answer this question because I respect, the HIPAA law and your privacy, of course. But before I ask you this, you see info commercials or stuff on TV about, people losing weight. They got this skin hanging loose over the body and stuff like that.
Right.
But how many surgeries did you have to go through until now?
To be honest, and it's okay, you can ask me that question. And I think this is what shocked a lot of people, and it actually shocked myself. I never had any surgery at all. People always ask me, where did my loose skin go? And I tell them, I have a little bit hanging, just enough to bother me. But, nothing major like I've seen on some of the transformations, the weight loss transformations that I've seen some people have. And I really thank God for that. They ask me, what did I do? I can be honest to tell them that I never did anything intentionally while I was losing weight to not have loose skin. And even to this day, I'm still trying to go over in my head, why doesn't my body look like these people's body who had these surgeries? Who had these, amazing weight loss transformations. Honestly don't know. But I can say that I didn't have any surgeries at all. So my pictures that people see with me with my shirt off are 110% real. Like I said, I had just a little bit, hanging off my waist, and that was enough to make me want to go from 220 at that time to be like, okay, maybe I need to go down to 215 to get this last little bit off, because that's what I thought it was. And it wasn't until, I was showing other people, and I was like, that's just a little bit of loose skin that you do have in comparison to everyone else. So, like I said, that was just enough to kind of, bother me. But I get asked that question all the time, and I can, be honest and say that I've never had weight loss surgery. I've seen some documentaries on it, and it scares the bejesus out of me. So I don't think I'm going to. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm fine. I'm fine right now, and it's like I said, I'm just fine right now, and that's what I'll at least say on that. But I think it might have just been just a culmination of what I was doing, and maybe it was because I've always worked out prior. Most people that have a lot of loose skin, like I said, most people, and I'm just talking from the top of my head, they may have not worked out prior to starting to lose weight. You understand? And so with that being said, their whole body goes through just a total metamorphosis. And what you see right now is just a result of what was kind of like, the inner person or the shell. And that's what I can say about me is like, I've always worked out, and, I've always, lifted weights and, tried to run or play basketball or do something active. I just wasn't the big guy who just never did nothing. I was always just trying to do something with my body one way or another. But that's what I can say as far as at least, about me. So, like I said, it wasn't until I got my diet right, then everything started to make sense. And I did stop lifting weights for about the first 6 to 8 months when I was losing weight, and I said, well, I was a pretty strong guy at that time. If I was lifting weights, I had over a 400-pound bench press, over a 400-pound squat, but I just risked all of it. I said, well, hey, that's fine and dandy. I don't want to be, the big, strong guy. I wanted to be, healthy. I wanted to be leaner. So when I did, lift that big amount of weight, I wanted to be a smaller weight so it would be a lot more impressive. You know what I mean? So that's just, kind of the weightlifting, fitness society is that, I see a lot of big people, lifting weights, which is fine, but it's just not a good look when you're that big and, you're lifting the weight you're supposed to. So with that being said, I was like, okay, let me just not lift any weights. Let me just do cardio. So I did all cardio for about the first 6 to 8 months, and I ended up adding resistant bands maybe after the first 125 to 150 pounds of me, losing weight. And then I said, okay, now it's time to start at least toning up. And maybe that did it, but even at 100 pounds, 150 pounds lost, I still didn't have a lot of loose skin, So, like I said, I'm just blessed to share that part of my story. And, it wasn't until, I started putting my pictures up on social media and people were asking me that same question and saying, well, hey, you don't have loose skin, maybe you can help some people out. And this is, a lot of reasons why I started my blog, ChristiansWeightSuccess.net, to help others if they've had any questions or wanted to know where to start or how to get started, or just be an inspiration to people who are on this weight loss journey or who want to start. And, I'm trying to be as transparent as possible. I have my good days. I have my bad days. Sometimes my cheat meal may turn to cheat days. But, I think it's important to be transparent, so people will know, hey, this is real life. I'm still going through things. So like you said, you worked in fast food before. I still work in the food industry as a cook. So I had to do all that being around food the whole time. So it's just that you have to have a certain focus and just be strong enough to know that your goal is more important than that meal or that cheat meal at that point in time.
The temptation is there, but we have several listeners on the phone with us at this time. We're listening to a awesome motivational speaker and a very positive man of God, Mr. Chris Evans. He is very positive, and I looked at your pictures, Mr. Evans, and I'm simply freaking amazed. I'm not gay or anything. I will not turn gay.
Right. Yeah, no homo.
I ain't going to be a homo. I'm married.
Right.
We have a baby, and we have another one on the way.
It's all good. It's all good.
We eat very healthy here. Even though it doesn't look like I eat healthy on YouTube, please forgive me. I'm just trying to get some endorsements. But obesity is the cause of unhealthy eating, which causes heart problems and, of course, breathing problems, diabetes, or up to, kicking a bucket, which is death. I hate to say that like that, but it's the truth. It's up to death. Here's the current statistics. Sorry about that. My tongue is dry. From the CDC data as today. Mr. Evans, you saw me post something on Facebook about the statistics not too long ago, like a couple of days ago, I think. More than 1/3, like 34.9%, or 78.6 million of the United States adults are obese, and approximately 17%, or about 12.7 million, of the kids or adolescents ages between 2 and 19 years of age, I hate to say this, are obese. Mr. Evans, the numbers is just heart-shaking. I mean, they're high.
Right.
But, I've seen the numbers like last year and a year before. I mean, the numbers are continuing going down. I mean, now. What do you think about these?
I think it's sad that that's happening right now, but there's always a way to where one can actually educate themselves. Somebody has to actually want to educate themselves on the food industry, on what they're actually eating, and just know that you just can't, keep, what I would say, just kind of keep, living your life blind from the standpoint of, hey, I'm going to eat this, and I don't care what's going to happen. I don't care about the results of, what it's going to be. People have to educate themselves on what's in their food. Education is the foundation for change in anything that you do. Once I changed my desire to want to educate myself on the food supply, I was able to make a better decision on my intake. So it actually starts in the home. The parents have to teach their children, and being actually an example, not so much teach them, but actually be a living example of healthy lifestyle in everything that they do. And so, it's hardly a case to where somebody's going to act out in public if they haven't seen it in their home first. So everything starts in the home first. Sometimes we get to a point to where we want to blame everything else. We want to blame all these outside factors, advertising, this cereal box is a brighter red than that, box of bran flakes or whatever the case may be. That's all just hogwash in my eyes. You have to educate yourself, and you have to do things yourself first, because you are raising a generation that eventually is going to take care of you. Now, if they're not alive to take care of you, then what's going to happen to society? Everything's going to fall by the wayside. So it is up to the parents to be a living example on actually maintaining a healthy lifestyle and, making their kids, eat as far as from what they're eating. And, it can be fun, it can be nutritious. And so that's my answer to that, is that the parents have to start in the home first. And not to say that, the kids can't have a pizza night out or, whatever. Kids are going to be kids. We're all kids at one point in time. And, I have, nieces and nephews that, I treat to, the sweets here and there. So, but at the same time, if they're over and I'm making a juice or making a smoothie, they're pretty much drinking all my stuff before I can drink it, but it's nice to know that they can learn something from me, and they see it as fun and actually tastes good to them. So if I see that, and, I pretty much know that as a parent, you should be watching your children a lot more and educating them a lot more on what they should be eating. Therefore, these statistics would be null and void if it was starting the home first.
And the FDA and the CDC is actually trying to educate the parents now more than ever before. See, I personally got educated back when I was a freshman in high school about the food pyramid. Now it's called my plate or something. I still call it the food pyramid. If we can take the time on social media outside, communicating with our government officials, but still get time to research before going to the store about, hey, what's good for us, what's not good for us. Research the food pyramid. I mean, the food pyramid is still around. I hate to say that, but it is. It's healthy for you. But my plate is more healthy for you. And the percentage on the sweets now, since we have a group of people in the White House, the Obamas, they're pushing us to eat healthy. Now they're dropping the percentage. Now, actually, they have a new label coming out, and the restaurants have to start promoting healthy way of eating all over the nation. And that's a good idea. I mean, I support that idea. It gives us an idea, hey, you need to stir away from the soft drinks to drink water, or stir away from the sugary drinks to, water or lemonade. Lemonade without sugar, of course. That doesn't help me any, because I'm old school. That's old school drink.
Right.
And the sweet tea from Chick-fil-A. Everybody knows Chick-fil-A has the sweetest tea. If you can stir away from that, I'll be darned, you're eating healthy, because Chick-fil-A serves the most healthiest food in the United States right now. It's not the grease. We're talking about the real food. Anything that's
right.
grilled or solid without the, without that crap in the solid, which is called the fertilizer. Fertilizer is not good for you to eat.
Right.
Period. But I'm trying not to bring politics into this. You know me,
right.
I'm not much of a politics kind of person. By Facebook, you know that. But sometimes I do let out some steam on news websites. The First Lady, Michelle Obama, delivered a keynote address to over 900 stakeholders at the Partnership for Healthier America, the PHA, Building a Healthier Future, the summit. That was a week ago, I think, maybe a couple weeks ago. I can't remember. It was so busy all throughout the week. I kind of lost focus on this one report. I was been trying to man up and post something about it, but she is working so hard lately to promote a healthier lifestyle of all ages. I'm all for that because you don't mind my YouTube videos on the food reviews. That's just
right.
Don't mind me on that one.
I get it. It's all good.
What I do is kind of healthy, but also, the starch out of macaroni. That is kind of healthy, but unhealthy in a way.
Right.
But just don't mind that. Or please. That's
right, I get it. I get it.
I'm only doing it to gain sponsorships. And just behind the camera, I spoke about this earlier. My family eats a fairly balanced meal. We stick to the food pyramid. My 3-year-old loves eating greens. You normally don't find 3-year-old kids eating spinach or all the old school eating greens.
Right.
No trans fats, no GMOs in this house. We actually completely banned trans fats and GMOs from the house. And that's hard to do.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
That's a lot of researching. How are you trying to promote this to your organization, just off staggering obesity statistics in your family behind the scenes or behind the camera?
Once again, it's about education. I try to share the information that I get regarding diet with my family, friends, and my connections via social media. And the thing is, you can't force it upon people because they have to want it. So I put the information out there on my site, christiansweightsuccess.net, for the world to see. And, I'll try to promote it as much as possible to those like-minded people. One thing that I did find out in going through my weight loss journey initially as I was losing my weight is you're excited about new information. And with that being said, you want to share it with everybody. You're like, hey, do you know they're putting this in the food? They're putting this in the food, or, this is how this grows, or this is where this comes from, and you shouldn't eat this, or you shouldn't eat that. That's my passion. That's not somebody else's. So, you can tell them about it, but it will still be up to them to want to educate themselves even more about it. And then you can almost come off as a fitness thumper, or, you're trying to get somebody's life right. You're forcing upon people. One thing that I've know is that you can't force things upon people, if they don't want it. You can put it out there, and if people know who you are, and since they know, if they're close to you, they'll say, well, okay, I can trust him in saying this, but they're still going to do what they want to do at the end of the day. The same way I'm going to do the same thing I want to do at the end of the day. So only thing that I feel that I have a responsibility of, if I have information, I'll put it out there. And, it's up to the people to want that information and want to educate themselves further onto that. I just try to be somebody who they can relate to, or, a friend or a family member, a nephew or a brother or a cousin or whatever that says, hey, he was once 400 pounds. He got down in his weight and he looks pretty decent right now. Not to brag, but he's in shape right now. So obviously something that he knows works. And my body, I want to be a living testimony of my education and my mindset first and foremost. And with that being said, if they can't see that and figure to say, hey, obviously he knows something about something. Might not know everything, but I know a little bit about stuff. Then that'll be, you know, on them. And that's not to throw any shade or, you know, try to badmouth them anyway. It's just more reiterating that you can't force that upon people because they have to want that themselves. They have to go through something in their life to say, hey, I need to change. You know, we can be inspired by a lot of different things, and inspiration comes from many different forms, and the reaction from those inspirations, you can react differently from them. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
But once again, you know, that's me. So, you know, all these different things, you know, people have to want that. They have to pay attention to these, you know, to the labels. They have to want to pay attention to the labels. You know, you can put everything out there. They just have to want it. And you can't force desire upon people. That has to come from within. So when people ask me, it's like, well, how did you maintain this? Or, you know, how did you stay strong through this situation or, you know, around that food? That's the second question that I get next to the loose skin is, you know, what kept you going? It's, you know, my willpower, you know, to know that my goal in my head and where I want to be is more than the temptation that I see in front of me, or the desire to say, hey, you know, I want this burger or I want this whole plate of ribs or whatever. You know, for whatever time period that my mind is set on, that's where I can home in at. So it's just willpower. And everybody has willpower. They just have to unlock it themselves. And how do you unlock willpower? You know, that's just your faith. And if you want something bad enough, you know, you will get it. You know, we all have, you know, say willpower to get up and go to the store, right? And say, well, hey, I don't have, you know, any milk in the refrigerator, or I don't have any bananas, or I don't, you know, have any ground beef. You know, your willpower is getting you up off the couch or off the bed to say, hey, I'm going to put my keys in my car or catch the bus or the train or whatever to go get whatever you want to get. All that's willpower. People don't understand that. It's just channeling it into a different format, into bettering yourself.
Yep, you got to make yourself very successful if you want to get out there, especially for a job. You know, you got to get dressed. You got to get off of Facebook or social media to go. If you want a job, that's what you have to do. Just get off the computer, get yourself dressed. It takes willpower to do all that. I mean, eat healthy before you go out there. We're not talking about pork bacon or, you know, unhealthy foods or GMO foods or, you know, crappy foods. In other words, we're talking about healthy foods will inspire you to be successful in your life. What is your food and drink intake now than what it was?
My food intake right now, I start off every morning drinking 2 bottles of water, and I try to altogether get 8 bottles in before the end of the day, which is, you know, a gallon of water. That's what I already start off with, and something that I've been doing pretty much since I started losing weight was starting my system off. You know, water actually activates your system to a point to where, you know, you can wake it up and say, well, hey, you know, I'm ready to flush out everything from the night before. And then on top of that, I drink freshly pressed juices that I juice myself. And if I'm not, you know, able to get those, I just go to the store because right now that's becoming more readily available. So fresh fruits and veggies, juice, green teas. And right now I'm working on building my strength back up as far as from, you know, when I, you know, lost my weight. And so I eat a lot of meat as far as, you know, baked chicken, steaks, fresh vegetables. And, you know, then, you know, I can, you know, I indulge, you know, here and there or sometimes more than what I care to admit, but that's just me just being transparent. You know, I'm not afraid to admit, hey, I had, you know, Snicker or 2 or some chips or here and there, but I try to get, you know, all that balanced out because, you know, once you reach your goals and whoever you get, it's kind of like, okay, what now? And it's just a lifestyle change that you totally have to change around. Now, mind you, I've been overweight for 24, so, you know, you're not overweight when you're a baby. So let's just say from the time I was 10 to the time I was 20, 27, 28, you know, so that's about 17, 18 years of just eating what I wanted to eat, doing whatever I want to do as far as when it comes to diet. And now it's been about 3 years now, maybe 2.5 to 3 years that I've, lost the weight, it's still a mental change that even me, I have to constantly educate myself on, constantly discipline myself on to know, like, hey, you may get a little out of control over here. Let's chill out. And you're like, well, okay, let's get back to work. And it's always just that challenge. So one thing I tell everybody is losing weight is easy in my eyes because you always have a goal. It's that, okay, what's your goal after you hit that? Are you going to be satisfied with your body? Do you want to do more? Do you want to do less? That's the real challenge into this weight loss transformations and these weight loss lifestyle right now.
Talking about the green tea, for those you don't know, green tea is very good to drink if you're coming under the weather, like not close to a flu, but basic illness or up to a flu. You need to drink green tea,
right?
For a fact, because as of this year, aka last year, I haven't been sick once. I haven't caught a cold, but my wife caught something just a little bit. But time she started drinking tea, she started feeling better the next day.
Right.
Can you? I know this is not part of this the script. Can you talk a little bit about the green tea and what it does for us in general?
Well, green tea, as far as from what I started educating myself on, has a lot of anti-cancerous properties in it. It actually gives you a little bit more energy than, I would say, a lot of different sports drinks. And just even a side note into that, a lot of times we see these sports drinks and the different pre-workouts and different things like that. Everything has a healthy alternative and a natural alternative. It's just about you educating yourself on them. So just going back to the, green tea, it can actually act like a laxative if, you drinking it, super strong, which, I don't really drink it that strong. But, over time, and it keeps your system flowing and your digestive health intact. And matter of fact, during my workouts, that's actually what I drink is green tea. I carry about a 32-ounce bottle of green tea, while I'm working out. And every time I drink it, I get a little extra boost of energy. And I make my green tea with honey or agave nectar. It just, all depends. So I just make mine in bulk. I actually have a video tutorial on my YouTube page, youtube.com/ChristianEvansCWS. And I just show people different tutorials on, again, how to make green tea, or even I make my own vanilla almond milk, or, how to make my watermelon fruit smoothie. So going back to what you were saying earlier about, responsibilities and education, and I can put the information out there. It's just, if those people want to see it, it's up there. And I try to promote it as much on my Facebook page and my Twitters or Pinterest or Instagrams as much as possible. Once again, just try to have my body be a living testament to say, hey, this was me then, this is me now, and this is what I'm currently doing to try to maintain it as best as possible and not, go back to the, 400-pound guy that I was once before.
Do you still kind of cave into the sweet tooth or,
Yes. Yes. I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm not afraid to admit it. And honestly, doing that, it keeps me honest. When I first started doing it, I'm like, oh, no, I'm not going to, tell people about it. But it actually is like a confession. That's what I have on my blog site, ChristiansWeightSuccess.net. Every Sunday I have a series called Sunday Confessions. And just about what I may have eaten this week, what I may have indulged in, or just different thoughts that are, I would say, non-conventional to, most people. I can't really dive into what other people would think. I can say, well, this is me. Hey, I had this week, and, hey, I'll do better. Because, I don't want to put an image out there like, I'm crispy clean, all the time, as far as when it comes to eating or, eating right or whatever. Because there's a lot of people that I've watched on YouTube and say, well, hey, I've had a pizza this week, but I'm not going to tell everybody, about it because it may, throw them off a little bit. That's true, but I believe that, it just keeps you more honest.
Yep.
Just with your crowd, because I'll be lying right now if I say, well, hey, here's the 4th of July coming, I'm not gonna enjoy myself when it comes to that. I can 4th of July comes once a year, but I can work out every day. I can diet every day. And so it's just being honest and being transparent is actually, I believe that it's helped my crowd of people that I'm reaching to, and it actually keeps me honest also. I think if I kept all that in and didn't tell people this is what I did, I think my situation would be a lot better, because I say, well, you know what, if I eat this today, I got to tell, my followers that, hey, this is, what I had. And I'm like, if I keep doing it over and over again, they're going to be like, okay, dude, you're a joke. So with that being said, it actually keeps me intact. It actually keeps me intact.
Another word, joke, and it's in the Bible a few times, and the word is hypocrite. We don't want to look like a hypocrite if we want to be a living sacrifice.
Right.
But we're going to get into a subject right now. Right now, we are talking to Kristen Evans, and he is a awesome, positive guy from the ChristianWeightSuccess.net, and he's telling his story. And I'm also telling my story on top of his story. It's like a informal discussion, but now when it comes to breast cancer, Susan G. Komen Foundation, we support them when it comes to donations. We give 5% of our donations to Susan G. Komen just because we have similarities when it comes to, breast cancer. Your mom had breast cancer. My mom had breast cancer. My wife her aunt had breast cancer. I mean, it's an ongoing story that you hear all the time on the media or just not in the media. It's a research that is developing. But can you tell us about your story about your mom?
Well, my mother was diagnosed, I believe, with breast cancer, I think October 2007, somewhere around that time. And at that time, I was like, well, you'll get past it. And that's just my mentality, just with a lot of things. People call me optimistic, but I always try to look at the more positive outlook on everything. And she ended up passing September of 2008. And just with that, I was still just, again, I just kept saying to myself, she's going to make it out. She's going to make it out through, because I kept focusing on the people who did make it versus the people who didn't. So when she, finally passed and went to be with the Lord, I was still confused on why she didn't make it. And it took me maybe about 2 years to kind of just settle into that's just the way things goes, and I can't really dwell on the past too much. But just during that time, I would go up with her to the cancer center treatments in Mount Zion, Illinois, because right now I reside in Peoria, Illinois, so it's maybe about a 2 or 3 hour drive. And we had family that supported the whole thing, and I would see the treatments, and she ended up having a vasectomy, which I started to see, after that time happened, after that surgery happened, she became, I could see just different things on her face, because she was more of a confident woman, and she was always confident until she took her last breath. And you start to see the toll that it took on her. And, trying to stay strong in front of her sons and in front of her family. I personally, never, saw her have a lot of meltdown. And that always stuck with me. So even when it comes to dieting or working out or just pushing yourself through, I always think about that. I'm like, well, she didn't really give up when, she had to get these radiation treatments going on. At least that's not what I saw. She was always strong in front of me. But just what I saw, just how it just takes a toll physically on the body, from radiation treatments to the actual mentality of this may be my last ride. But from a son's standpoint and looking at it, I never looked at it like she was not going to make it. I always looked at it like, hey, she's going to make it through because, hey, there's people who make it through, and that's what I hear. That's what I would hear all the time. Prior to that, I never thought anything too much about cancer or diseases or anything like that because my mind never went there. Not to say that there wasn't a possibility. It's just that my mind doesn't dwell on death. I see a lot of times, a lot of things that are pushed towards us in society is do things because you're going to die. Do this because, your teeth are going to fall out. Everything is marketed and labeled in fear. And I don't like living my life like that. God did not give us a spirit of fear. So with that being said, it's like we're getting it because man is putting it out there. And it's all about, having a positive mindset and a positive outlook on any and everything that you do. And that was just my mindset even with her going through that. Even when she passed, for me not to sink into too much of a depression, which, I was never depressed. I just had a lot of questions in my head, just why. But even with that being said, it was just like, okay, what am I supposed to learn from this? I try to look at everything as an educational and a learning standpoint. What am I to learn from this? And I would keep asking myself that every day. What am I to learn from this? And, eventually, I got, my answer. And it was just to, try to be as positive, as you can, live your life because, nothing is a promise. Nothing is a promise, every day of life. So every day I'm thankful for my life, thankful for my family, thankful for my friends, thankful for my health and my mentality because things could, go totally wrong. Everything could have went totally wrong even with that, being said. You're losing your mom at the age of 25. And, right when you're starting to kind of discover what life is and, what life is about is just somebody's taken from you. Just that quick. She went into the hospital to me for a checkup, for things. And, things, just turned south really fast. Took care of her as well as, my family as much as, we possibly could. And during that time. And just like you would do for any loved one. Yeah. And like I said, just one day, she, had a checkup. And, she ended up staying there and, didn't come out. But, all in all, God had brought me through that whole situation and just being mentally strong. And that showed me how to become, mentally stronger than what I was, at that time. And, strength is the most important thing in my life right now. The mentality is that let nothing and no situation take over your mind. That's, your mind is the most important thing that you have because your mind controls everything that you do. So just with that being said, to tell all the listeners right now, mental health is important, not to talk about, bipolarism or schizophrenia or anything like that. I'm just talking about just being mentally healthy. Let no situation take over your mind to a point to where you will have to be diagnosed with, bipolarism or schizophrenia, and they put you on these pills and different things like that. So touching back on, cancer and different things like that, like you said, you don't want to get too political. I'm more of a person that when I started educating myself on the food system, I started to see these alterations they were doing with the food and how that could be a possibility of cancer. Everything is, even if you look at a lot of food and a lot of things that are doing, everything is marketed towards this is a non-cancerous product. Why does it have to be labeled as that? You know what I mean? Why does it have to be labeled as that? How come it just can't be a product? Why does it have to be emphasized so much? This is a non-cancerous product or, this has anti-cancerous properties unless the cancer was actually being planted in to the food supply. I'm not afraid to talk about that or voice my opinion about that because I believe it's real. When you start talking about GMOs and everything is geared towards now, this is an organic product. Why is the emphasis so much of this is organic? This wasn't filled with solutions or pesticides or herbicides. Why is that such an importance if you know this is killing us? So why is it being, quote unquote, allowed to be put in anyway? You know what I mean? So it's just like, do you want a deathly product or do you want a product that potentially helps you to live? and even going with the organic situation, some stuff is just labels, and you can't really trust a lot of stuff right now. So the only thing that you can do, is trust God and just make sure you can make the best decision that, for you and your family and, hopefully, your finances. So, it can allow you to make, better decisions and help you decisions with your life. But, it just made me question a lot of things, and I still question a lot of things, right now, and just being more cautious about, what you put into your body. And if you are going to put, something in your body, you were talking about earlier, the sugars and different things like that. For the longest, I thought that, meat, quote unquote, beef or cow or pork, said beef or cow, beef or pork or chicken was, making me fat. It wasn't until I started researching high fructose corn syrup, how it's in just about everything, and the sugars actually make you fat. So once again, it's just the education on what you're eating, and then you can make better decisions. I did my vegetarian or vegan phase for one point in time, but I started seeing overweight vegetarians or vegans. So I knew just eating vegetables wasn't the sole reason to, get skinny or, lose weight. It's about educating on what you're actually putting into your body. So once I started doing that, then everything started making a lot more sense.
Well, how about this? You give us your voice of opinion on pork versus beef. Which one is the healthiest?
To be honest, I think that it all depends on the grade. That goes back to, what did this animal eat, and what did the farmers feed it, and you can also it depends on your cut. Pork can be healthy, if you get a good cut of it. Beef can be too. Beef can be bad for you, just like pork can be bad, just like chicken, just like turkey. And it's all about, knowing what that animal, it ate, as it was, growing. Same way with vegetables. Things can be bad. It all just depends on what it's being fertilized with, what it's being, how it's being treated, overall. I think we all get into this battle of, this animal is good and this animal, isn't good for you. And this all comes down to the education of what it had, if that's even possible for you to know. Even fish, you're like, okay, hey, I'm only going to eat, salmon. Now they're saying farm-raised salmon because of the feed they're giving it. The feed has GMOs or pesticides or poison, so that turns into, what I mean? It's like I believe it's, I think it was Isaac Newton, I believe, said something about kind of the theory of nothing ever really dies. It just takes a different form. And so if, you have this chemical starts in this lab and it's put into the food, and the food ends up being eaten by an animal, that chemical's still going to be in that animal that we end up eating, or with the plant. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just one thing transferred into the, into the next. So once again, it's the education about what you're eating as opposed to the actual thing that you're eating. It's the education on it. And we live in a fast society, and a lot of times when we go to the store, we are trusting the store to, trust the labels on the products, by the FDA and the powers that be that certify this as being, quote unquote, good for you. And we're just at their mercy, unless you grow things yourself, you never know what you're eating. And that's what I started to get myself into after I started, researching, okay, GMOs and, organic or whatever. And I just found out that, just because something says grass-fed beef, what kind of grass was that cow eating? You know what I mean? Was it sprayed with pesticides or not? You know what I mean? So it's a label of everything. And you got to be like, well, man, what's really going on over here? So it's all a game, and you just have to try to live your life as healthy as possible and make the best decisions, as you can, because things can scare you to a point to where you don't want to eat anything but drink water, at that time. But now you come to find out the water got the fluoride in it, and the fluoride can, attribute to Alzheimer's because of, the mercury ends up getting to your brain. So it's, it's what are you going to pick? you know, what are you going to pick? So once again, you know, God did not give us a spirit of fear. It's just kind of one of those things to where you just have to make the best decision as possible. And people say, well, how do I make the best decision? It's called critical thinking and education. And nobody's going to do it for you. You know, some people tend to think that somebody's going to do it for them all the time. You know, you have to grow up and realize that you're an adult in this world. And if you have children, you have to be an example to them. Stop letting the school system feed your kids this stuff and then be mad when they're running around crazy because of the food that they're putting in. Educate yourselves on what they are feeding your kids. You know, stop just living your life just blind all the time. You know, educate yourself on what you're doing, what you're putting into your body. You know, you have to be an example to everything. So one of my closing statements and mantras in all my YouTube videos or my blog posts is, you know, is each one teach one, you know, and spreading love and not war. You have to try to teach one another. And that's what, at least far as what I do when I post up information, is at least teach somebody, at least far as for what I know. What I know may not be 110% right, but I believe that it's more right than it is wrong. And if it is wrong, you know, I accept correction. But for right now, it's better than nothing. And that's the purpose. And that's the point. So where, you know, a lot of times when I'm putting up things, sometimes, you know, you can get these fitness thumpers and say, hey, this isn't right, this isn't right. Hey, it may not be, but, you know, I'm only subject to the education that's put out there. You know, I don't have a degree on nutrition and everything like that. And even then, people can get degrees, but they're still learning because there's so many different things that people are doing with the food. There's so much education. So, you know, you can spend time to educate yourself is what I'm mainly getting at. So if you have the time to scroll on social media, you have time to, you know, Google, hey, what's in this and what's in that? Because that's exactly what I did. I was like, okay, so what's the benefits of this? What's the benefits of that? Let your phone and this information age that we're living in benefit you, you know, because right now, you know, being uneducated is there's no excuse. If, you know, you got, you know, everything is pretty much easily accessible. You know, a lot of people still may not have smartphones or computers. You know, I get that. But there's always, like you say, you know, your old school, there's a library. You know what I mean? You can educate yourself. And once again, you have to want that. That person has to want that. You know what I mean?
Or always, you know, you can always ask somebody, like you can, for the listeners listening, or for those hanging out with us right now, or the phone, or listen, or the computer. I want to welcome everybody that's listening right now. Always ask questions. I mean, either myself or of you, also you, Mr. Evans. People can ask you or myself. I'm available 24 hours a day almost. I work 18 hours a day at Christian World News, and I'm not afraid to express I'm a workaholic, but you know, I'm married to the job, but first I'm married to my awesome wife over here. But always ask questions. If even though you might not have a smartphone, like Mr. Evans said, or practically a computer at home, if you just message us and on the social media networks or on YouTube, you know, pretty much we'll respond back to you pretty quickly. I mean, not just. I mean, I'm pretty quick at answering back. I mean, as far as the email, sorry about that. But that's in the past. Now it's a now. And the future relies on, you know, you as a person. But always ask questions because it never hurts. I mean, if you can't ask us, ask somebody that is your friend that knows somebody that knows something about health and nutrition. Or contact my friends at FDA. I'm not going to say they're my friends, but I talk to them on a regular basis just for, you know, media stuff that I do, you know, pull some press reports. But I have connections that is willing to, you know, get you the answers that you need on a timely basis. I mean, Mr. Evans and I is always here around, willing to help you out, you know, in case you do have a question. Now, what are you doing online to help people lose weight, and have you seen success so far in people's life?
Well, good question. I actually have a program to help people be successful at losing weight like I did. It's called the Christians Weight Success Starter Program. And what I do is I offer weight loss counseling for 1 month, and you can read more details in the program at christiansweightsuccess.net/CWSSP. And what I do is that, I pretty much give people the blueprint on what I did to lose weight. I tell people right now, I am not a personal trainer. People ask me, are you a personal trainer? I don't ever want to disrespect anybody who's actually, gone through their, the hoops to actually get their degrees and license and different things like that. What I am is someone who's actually lost weight and has the experience over someone who sits and, not to throw any shade, but, is reading book and say, well, hey, this is what you do to lose weight. And if you've never been overweight, then how can you tell somebody who's overweight how to lose weight? That's one thing personally I don't get. But I'm somebody who was once 400 pounds, was on high blood pressure medicine, CPAP machine, and no longer takes any medicine and no longer is on a CPAP machine. Not from any doctors, approve or anything. And I tell people, check with your doctor first to make sure this is something that, you want to actually go through. But I believe people right now are looking for truth right now. And what I offer is actually is truth in far as what I do as far as helping people. My average clients lose at least 20 pounds within the first month. And, I guide them and show them actual blueprint of what I did. And I actually have a book coming out, which is a full 365-day journal of what I did to actually lose weight. Every single day while I was on my weight loss journey, when I was losing weight, I documented everything from what I ate, how much I ate, my workouts, what I was feeling, and it's just a compilation of what I did to lose weight, and that's how I started my weight loss program, because so many people kept asking me, can you help me lose weight? And I was actually reluctant to it. I just was like, well, I can't help you, at this point in time. I was waiting for me to get finished with my book, which I'm about 90% done with it right now. But I just couldn't sit back and just not do nothing. You understand what I'm saying? And when people are asking for help. And, I didn't know I could help people. That's the whole thing. So I didn't lose weight intentionally to say, well, hey, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to be this big fitness guru and, be the next, Richard Simmons or, Billy Blanks or something like that. That's not why I lost weight. I lost weight for me. And just with that being said, it's provided me many opportunities like the one I have talking to you right now. And so everything is organic, and what I offer is real life testimony and real life experience that, hey, I may have a client that says, hey, I'm going through this right now. What did you do to get through that? And I explain to them, even so much as giving them, an exact copy of my notes where I was going through on that day at that particular way. But as far as success, I have clients under my belt. They've lost weight. They feel fantastic. And, I'm still working with people. And, for those who, aren't able to sign up, for my program, that's what my website is for, christiansweightsuccess.net, and my YouTube channel, my Instagram. I try to upload as much as possible and provide tutorials on how to make this or how to do this, or just giving them honest opinions of my thoughts about, weight loss or inspiration or motivation, because that's sometimes what a lot of people just need, the motivation to get by, the motivation to continue, because when you are on the weight loss journey, this is something that you want to do. And then, you are excited and you want to tell people about it, but some people may not be on the same page as you are. So that's why it's important to join a community, whether it be on any social media that you're on, Facebook, Twitter, or Google Plus, to, join a weight loss community where you have more people encouraging you and more like-minded people. Sometimes you may want your friends or your closest family members to be on the same journey with you, and they may not just be there with you mentally at that time. They may be somewhere else. And so, but just because you are, don't get discouraged that somebody else isn't. Find people who are, because there's, 7 billion people on this planet. Somebody like that, somebody's going to have a similar story or a similar want to what you're doing. So don't ever get discouraged if, your immediate people around you may not be on the same page as you do. You know, you just know that you have to be a living testimony and just show it, you know, and just show it. And then just do it for yourself also. To do it for yourself. You know, don't get involved, you know, too much what other people are doing, you know, all the time and, you know, wanting the results with someone else has. But just do it for you and stay strong mentally, stay strong in your willpower and educate yourself. And just be happy in doing what you do and don't be afraid to, you know, fall down. Don't be afraid to slow down. Don't stop. And that's what I tell my clients, you know, don't stop. You can slow down, but don't stop. You know, the biggest, you know, the hurdle that to get people over is, you know, when they want to stop or when they want to give up. You know, you have to just be encouraging to people and be a motivational to people. And that's what I provide, just, you know, more encouragement, more motivation, and more inspiration because I've actually been through it. You know, I've been through some of the, you know, the worst things that somebody could, you know, possibly go through. You know, being in the hospital for a week, getting, you know, pricked by needles and, hey, take this medicine. And then when you get out, the medicine is actually making you more hungry than what you were beforehand. Yeah. You know what I mean? And they just have to, hey, you have to realize, like, hey, this is all a game right now. You know what I mean? But just kind of getting back on track is that, you know, having to be on your own after all of that and just still finding a way to persevere through what I had to go through. And everybody has their own life. Everybody has their own issues that they're dealing with. No one is exempt, but you just have to want it. And that's what I tell people, you have to want it. So once again, they can go to my website, christiansweightsuccess.net/CWSSP, or just look on there for Christians Weight Success Starter Program if you're interested in assistance in losing weight.
Now, what did your doctor, I mean, you went to your doctor, you know, with a heavy weight, and you probably went back to your doctor when you lost all the weight. What did your doctor have to say once you went back in, looking the way you are today?
I didn't go to a doctor. I didn't need a doctor to tell me that, you know, I was fat and I was overweight. They've been telling me that. Only thing that they're going to tell me is that, hey, take this pill. You know what I mean? Or come back to me in 4 months. And I had been through all of that. After my mom passed, I just didn't trust doctors. I didn't trust anything. You know what I mean? I've always had trust issues, but that just sent me over the top. So I didn't need a doctor to tell me that I was overweight. You know, the scale told me I was overweight. The CPAP machine told me I was overweight. The borderline stroke told me I was overweight. You know, how I was looking, how I felt, you know, and just being conscious about it all. That was my motivator to get everything done. So far, I haven't seen a doctor, but that's just me. I don't recommend people do, you know, what I did in that case. So, you know, I didn't see a doctor, and I think we've gotten so dependent on someone else telling us what we already know that we don't listen to ourselves. You know, what do you feel like? Do you need a doctor telling you automatically what you feel like? Because once you do that, then you'll be subjugated to what they feel is best for you. And sometimes I would say they do. But a lot of times they have different agendas because they're being paid by the big pharmaceuticals to push this medicine on you, to push this product on you. You understand what I'm saying? And it's job security, you know. So, you know, are they really there to help you or not? You know, that's just up for you to, you know, figure out. But you know, I didn't check with the doctor beforehand or after. I just knew that, hey, you know, I have to do better. And I didn't need anyone else telling me that but myself and just looking at it, you know, because then you start being subjugated to someone else's opinion all the time, you know, and just because somebody's in a building, has a white coat on, you know, you don't know who that person is. You know, there was just a case 2 months ago, some kid actually opened his own, practice, and come to find out, a couple of months later or whatever, he wasn't even certified. You know what I mean? So you just don't know who these people are. And what you have to do, you have to just, you know, trust God and just trust the fact that you know you have to do better. And you actually, again, have to want to do better. You know, just educate yourselves on a lot of things. So if you feel comfortable talking to a doctor and going for that, hey, I recommend that that's what you do. But as far as for me to answer that question, no, I didn't go to a doctor, and I still haven't seeing a doctor ever since. And just with that being said, that's just, my answer to that question right there.
I'm sorry for your loss of your mom. I mean, I still have a mom. She did not have the remission like people talk about, but she did. She undergone the radiation, but she didn't rely on doctors popping pills down her throat. In other words, she relied on thousands of people, the whole church praying for her. I mean, I went to like the semi mega church, but it wasn't Calgary. It wasn't Calgary in that mega church as of yet. They're working on that, but the whole church was praying for her. We have about 2,500 member list at our church. Right. And that's a lot of people every Sunday. Just imagine the whole church praying for you, just undergoing, the radiation treatment that the doctors have you under, or in case you didn't want to go under it, you can always get prayer. I mean, it's your right if you want to get treatment or not. It's your right if you want the doctors to push pills down your throat or not, because those pills could or does have reverse reactions. I mean, you never know what's in those pills unless you really take the time to research, because truth be told, I quit taking my seizure medication because I looked into researching what that type of medication had, and that medication could cause liver damage or kidney damage or, other damages that I could, live with the body, the organ. I want the organ in my system, But in closing, can you mainly brief us on your testimony, and can you give some uplifting advice to those whom is battling with the problem that you had, and what you could do to help them out that really wants to help? I mean, there's people that says they want to help, but there's another group of people that truly wants to help. Can you give us, some words on that?
Well, first off, thank you for having me, and I appreciate this opportunity to where I can be able to, say this to people, is that educate yourself. Educate yourself, and like you said earlier, Mike, don't be afraid to ask questions when it comes to wanting to do better. Look at yourself and just ask yourself, do you want to do better or not? What are you doing it for? Are you authentic? Are you legit with your desires of what you want, or do you want something because somebody else has it? And I can tell you right now, if you want something because somebody else has it, you might as well stop. You just need to do it for yourself. If you are looking for help, I'm here to help. You can visit my website, christiansweightsuccess.net, and you can look at my starter program, and it's called Christians Weight Success Starter Program, where I can actually assist you on your weight loss journey. And I call it the starter program because it's going to give you the education that I had on losing weight. And, it's not meant to, be like a carrot on a stick, and just holding it out in front of you. You're like, okay, let me get you for another month or whatever like that. I just let people know, hey, this is the education that I have, and I can help you with it. And once you learn my system, you can keep on going on with it. And so that's that. What you can do is that get around like-minded people. Like if you want to lose weight and if you want to educate yourself, if you're passionate about understanding the food system, the food supply, and what things do, get around like-minded people. And if, you may get discouraged from others, that's because they're not mentally ready to make that change. Some people want to just live their life without knowing the truth of what things are and how things operate. But, again, that's on them. You need not to concern yourself with those people. Have faith. Have faith in what you do. Have faith that, God will provide you a way to open doors to where you can educate yourself, open doors to where you can be around like-minded people you like yourself. Because one thing that as big as motivation is encouraging and inspiration in when you are trying to make a lifestyle change. It's hard to make a lifestyle change when you are alone. So just know that you're not alone. I'm here for you if you just, want to talk or chat it up, or, my email or my website. Again, you can follow me on Instagram at Christian's Weight Success. My Twitter is at Christian J. Evans. And ultimately, I just tell people just to go to my website. It's christiansweightsuccess.net. You can contact me through there. It's actually a blog site where I can actually update weekly, update maybe about 3 times a week, if not more. I'm always trying to put out quality content as far as from what I understand, what I know, and what I've educated myself on, and just share it with people. We live in an information age to where information is available for you at the touch of your fingertips. And I try to provide people with the education that I've gotten. I try not to hide stuff like, oh, hey, this is this secret. I don't want anybody to know. I try to put everything out there, try to be transparent as much as possible through my ups and downs, my triumphs, and, my fails and my weakness. And I try to relate to people that are going through what I've went through at one point in time. And it just does not stop at weight loss. It's about the lifestyle change. I tell people this: when you are losing weight or wanting to lose weight, don't be discouraged about loose skin. That's probably about the third question that I get, and sometimes I think it's a cop-out from people wanting to lose weight is, hey, I'm afraid of loose skin. It's just lose the weight first and just see how your body reacts. Some people don't have loose skin. Some people do, some people don't. It just all depends. I've seen both cases, but don't let the fear of the unknown stop you from doing something right now at this very moment. If you want to lose weight and if you want to, be in better health, then just do it. There's no better time than right now. Don't set a date and saying, well, hey, I'm going to do this on January 1st or whatever. No, you need to do it now. Educate yourself now. Just start right now. If you have 5 minutes, like you said, you work a 12-hour shift and, all these long days, if not more. Even if it's 10 minutes that you used to spend on social media, at least spend 5 minutes of that educating yourselves on, food or, nutrition and everything like that. And just when the other half, go back on, just social media or whatever. One thing that I did learn in college is that we always have these times to where we are, we're waiting, whether waiting in line to check out the aisle of, at the store or, waiting on this or waiting on that. Even, before I called you, I was waiting on something else. So it's like, okay, you could spend those 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever, educating yourself on something new. Just constantly strive for more information. And there's nothing wrong with being that. There's nothing wrong with being intelligent. Again, I was saying that we can be discouraged sometimes by, different people who are not like-minded. And just know that we do live in an age to where people value good as bad and bad as good. But there's nothing new under the sun, and the law is the law. Good is good and bad is bad. And that's pretty much what it is. So don't get everything twisted by people putting different things up on social media or TV that, hey, you can eat 5 cupcakes and still lose weight. Unless it's laced with something, then yeah. But then even with that being said, do you really want to trust it? So just with that being said, it goes back to the education. And it goes back to this: good is good and bad is bad. Don't get caught up into this world that we're living in right now to where, bad is good and good is bad. Don't try to make any sense out of it because you'll go crazy. And it's hard because a lot of people, they're just speaking their mind a lot of times. They're just speaking their mind with no education with it. So I just say in closing that, be inspired by others. You can be inspired by me, and just know that I'm someone who was, again, over 400 pounds and educated themselves to get down to 215 pounds, close to 200 pounds within a 10-month period. No weight loss surgery, no pills. And just know I still had ups and downs. And just know that you are going to have ups and downs. And just know that, everything is not going to be perfect. but you have to start somewhere, and don't let the fear of the unknown prevent you from being great right now.
Amen. Before I give my closing statements, recently, I just saw your page. You made this awesome oatmeal raisin smoothie. Now, I haven't tried it yet, but I'm going to get some ingredients up in here. How was the oatmeal raisin smoothie? Give us your review.
Okay, my oatmeal raisin smoothie is, I came up with it just trying to add more to my repertoire. I am a cook by day, so I'm very familiar with the kitchen, and I'm just always finding new recipes to try. And it's something that needed something to at least kind of stick to me a little bit more as a pre-workout or post-workout. I don't take any of these powders or different pills and people trying to do to get amped up, just to go to the gym, just to lift the same amount of weight that you could possibly do without it. But it's not even so much a weight gain or anything like that. Something that's sustainable. You don't want anything too heavy, but you don't want anything too light. What I do is I use vanilla almond milk, unsweetened vanilla almond milk, about 1 cup, a half a cup of oatmeal. You can use, your regular instant oatmeal or steel cut oatmeal, whatever you have available. 2 to 3 frozen bananas. Bag up my bananas. As a matter of fact, I need to go to the store today and to go buy some more so I can freeze them. So I just have them readily available. So about 2 to 3 frozen bananas you put in your blender, about 2 to 3 ice cubes, a box of raisins, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Make sure your ground cinnamon is quality ground cinnamon. I found that cheap cinnamon actually dries my throat out, and you don't want that. And you get a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves and a 1/4 teaspoon of ground nutmeg, and just blend that up in your blender till everything's well blended, and voila, you have your oatmeal raisin smoothie. And, I love oatmeal raisin cookies. Like I said, I have a sweet tooth, so that was right up my alley. I said, how can I do this and put this in a blender? And, through trial and error, I kept going. I'm like, oh, no, that's too much cloves or that's too much nutmeg. I knew it was something that was missing from there, and I think it was the cloves. And cloves can be very strong if you don't actually measure it out. So yeah. I will be posting that video later on today after this radio interview is up. And everybody can go to my website, christiansweightsuccess.net, and I will have it posted by the end of the day. You can let me know your thoughts on it and try it, and let me know what you think about it.
And I will be the first to try it as soon as I get my butt down the store. My closing statements is for everybody that is listening. I'm going to post this on my YouTube also. We're live on free conference call. But, of course, you can get this later today. Everybody's going to get it on YouTube, on Christian World News. I'll post it all over the social media, even the Twitter of this one interview on our YouTube channel. And, Christian, you can share this on your YouTube channel also. We'll give you that link. My closing words is this advice. If you want to get blessed first, you always need to be blessing somebody first. And again, let me rephrase this. Bless somebody first if you want to get a blessing. Just like this is a prosperity message. Give unto others as God wants you to give unto you. Pressed down, shaking together, and rolling over. You are blessed and highly favored. Mr. Evans, we want to thank you, and we will invite you again for any topic of our choosing, or your choosing, of course. Always feel free to hang out with us for Open Door. We have an open door policy, of course. Everybody, again, I want you to go check out his website. Of course, it's www.christianweightsuccess.net. And check out our website, of course, extremechristianradio.com. Again, our podcast will be available here very shortly, if not earlier tonight. Again, thank you, Mr. Evans, for hanging out with us.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a successful day. God bless.
God bless.